Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon, or good morning, I should say. Welcome to our webinar on the Rosco DV6 Dual Vision 6. I'm Dwayne Primo, the president here at Northern BI. I'm joined by my partner in crime and colleague, Brian McIntosh. And we're looking forward to spending the next up to an hour with you reviewing the Rosco solution and answering your questions. What we'll do is start off with a quick little video and we'll jump right into things. Fantastic. So a few housekeeping items to touch on before we get into things today. We welcome your questions and we'll look to address them through the session and reserve some time at the end to answer your questions. So please don't hesitate to ask, and please post them via the Q&A in Zoom. We'll be moderating those. We will be today interspersed through this session holding a Dashcam poll. So you may see a pop-up on your screen asking for some input, and we'll share the results with you. The poll is anonymous, and we'll, as noted, share those results with you through the session. You fine folks will all be entered into a draw to win one of 10 Yeti tumblers, as shown by Brian here. And those are nicely co-branded with NBI and Geotab. We will be conducting a survey following the webinar, and we ask you in advance to please complete it and really appreciate the feedback that you provide. And of course, we'll be here to follow up with any questions you may have, or you can contact us at northernbi.com if there's any specific follow-up after the session you're looking for. So with that, we're going to jump right in. The agenda today we'd like to cover is to start with a bit of why dashcams and the benefits of dashcams for your fleet. We'll talk a bit about who we are, Geotab and Rosco as companies, and the services we provide. We'll get right into the Rosco DV6 Dashcam hardware overview, the installation process of the DV6 camera, a live demonstration of the DV6 as well. We will have a little reminder on the upcoming Canadian ELD mandate. We know that's top of mind for many of you, and of course reserve time for questions at the end of the session. So with that, we're going to jump right in with our first poll, and this should pop up on the screen for you momentarily. 2 questions, true or false. 1 in 10 vehicles in Canada carries a dash cam, true or false. And 2, dash cams can exonerate drivers in what percentage of incidents? So we'll leave this open for 30 seconds or so. We see some of the responses streaming in quickly. We'll give it another 10 or 15 seconds. All right, let's close the poll, and we'll share the results. Just a moment, I'll bring them up on the screen. So here we go. So the first question, true or false? 1 in 10 vehicles in Canada carries a dash cam. 67% of you got it right. It is true. That's the current stat, about 1 in 10. And the second question, we had multiple choice here, 37%, 72%, 50 or 25. And 62% of you got it right. It is 72% per Today's Trucking. This is the percentage of times that a camera can exonerate drivers. So that's great. Thanks for participating in that poll. And it fits in nicely to our first point here, which is really that question of why dash cameras. So there's a few things happening here. So of course, one of the items happening on the roads impacting our commercial fleets as well as our personal lives on the road is that distracted driving is really becoming a leading cause of vehicle collisions. Now, this relates to the benefits to dash cams can relate to both helping ensure that our drivers are operating safely with some of the in-cab technology that we'll demonstrate today, but also as it relates to the environment your drivers are operating in and being able to get that context and imagery of what the other vehicle that may be operated by a distracted driver is doing or not doing in a given scenario. So this is one of those really important factors impacting the real benefit of having these cameras in your vehicles. It's been proven that with the effective use of dash cameras, it can result in 35% less accidents actually occurring by using this technology. In many cases, reduction in insurance costs can be up to 25%. This, of course, is going to be dependent on your insurance provider, but many do provide discounts for using either telematics or video telematics technology. As we covered in the poll, this technology can help exonerate drivers in more than 72% of incidents. And that is in that it gives you the evidence and proof. It can eliminate a he said, she said. And I always like to think of it as telematics has been doing this for years, but this is HD, the HD version of telematics. And not only does it give you more, visual proof, but of what your vehicle did or did not do, or your operator did or didn't do, but that context of what the other operators around and the other vehicles around yours did or didn't do. And of course, it can help streamline and settle claims faster. One other point I'd note here is we do have commercial operators, and maybe you're in this boat, that are self-insuring to a degree by, operating with fairly high deductibles, and then, self-covering any claims below that deductible amount. And in those instances, the value can be exceptionally strong in helping streamline and settle not only claims, but your own investigations and help mitigate these risks and costs. So those are a few of the benefits that we see of dash cams. So now let's get into a little overview and recap of who we are. I think many on the call today are some of our existing clients, so I won't spend too long. You folks can make sure we're accurate in the comments if you wish. We've been around since 2005, so we're now 17 years in the fleet telematics business. We're exceptionally proud of our client retention rate. We maintain year over year 90% of the clients we begin each year with. Our belief is that the technology we offer is best in class, but the technology alone won't bring the savings and benefits and results to our clients that it could alone. It does require the right consulting and guidance from customer success managers, the right support and training. And that's what we continue to invest in, making sure we're providing our clients. And really excited that we're doing this in both official languages here in Canada, being able to support you in French and English. And we've been recognized by our largest partner, Geotab, is one of their top value-added resellers globally. So that is a bit about us. And as noted, we focus on the implementation, consulting, delivery of the technology our technology partners provide. Geotab being our longest standing and primary technology partner. Many of you are aware of Geotab, but if you're not, Geotab has been ranked 3 years running the #1 worldwide commercial telematics vendor. They really provide a very powerful and flexible technology for fleet management and telematics and ELD. Highly secure platform and used by now over 44,000 active customers globally with over 3 million units in service. So that's the foundation of the technology, and also to how we bring video telematics to our customers. And we'll demonstrate today how all of the pieces here work together very, very well. A little bit about Rosco Vision. So Rosco is based in Jamaica, New York, and they've been in business since 1907. So they were producing early on lights and mirrors for some of the earliest vehicles, and then moving into such products as the large mirror you see above school bus drivers. And they've had this long-standing, very quality-based focus on vision technology in commercial vehicles. And Rosco, we underwent a really exhaustive search of the various telematics or video telematics products in the geotab marketplace and beyond. And going on 6 years ago now, started to form a relationship with Rosco that has been very beneficial for our clients and ourselves. So this is a partnership we're excited about, and a technology that we're excited to share with you more today. So with that, I'm going to hand things to my colleague Brian to give us an overview of the Rosco DV6 Dashcam. Brian.
Really excited to demonstrate a little bit about the DV6. I actually have a sample here so you can actually see it. I'll try to move it. So this is the actual size of the camera, and the reason they call it the DV6, one of the reasons is it's the dual vision. So there's both a camera that will be facing the road as well as one that would be facing in cab. So all of the Rosco equipment that we've been focused on has both the forward-facing and inward-facing cameras. One of the features that's really, really cool about the Rosco DV6 and actually the other DV products as well is that you can actually disable that inward-facing camera, and in this case, still leverage some of the really cool AI features we're going to talk about a little bit later today. So that's a really powerful feature for clients who may have drivers or organizational challenges about collecting some of that in-cab facing video. You can still leverage the technology without necessarily recording what's happening inside of the cab. And Dwayne will talk a little bit more about that as we show in the demo. And as we mentioned earlier, the DV6 has a whole host of AI features built in to help alert drivers. I'm going to show you a few examples here in a second. And much like your PVR at home, the DV6 is constantly recording, and it's nicely integrated with geotab. And we'll show you what that looks like here in a few short minutes, so that as things are happening within your geotab integration, and those rules will pull directly in, and then you'll be able to pull a video. So Dwayne, why don't we jump ahead and show a little bit about the AI features. So one of the things that the DV6 is really kind of moving things forward, and we've been involved with cameras for a number of years now, but we're now trying to shift things from being simply a reactive tool to start being a proactive tool. And the DV6 has got a whole bunch of built-in features here to automatically identify and hopefully alert the operator of your vehicles that something may be going awry. And essentially what's happening is Rosco spent a lot of time building this algorithm to take you in and really diving into these details. So let's show you a couple quick samples of what that would look like. So Dwayne, if you want to jump forward. So there's really 5 main areas where the DV6 is looking. And this first one is distracted driving. So you'll see in the little video here, the driver's looking away.
Distraction detected.
And that's the moment where the Rosco unit's actually alerting the driver. That's the in-cab alert that the driver would hear when that distracted driving has been detected. And essentially what it's looking for is that driver looking away from the road, or is their head down? Similarly, if we look in the middle here, this is our drowsiness and fatigue detection. So we're looking here for closing eyes and nodding.
Distraction detected.
So again, in-cab alerts would provide notification directly to the driver, and hopefully bring them back to operation, and then maybe they won't lead to that accident. And then the last one I know that many of us are concerned about is phone use by vehicle operators. So Dwayne, if you want to show that one.
Distraction detected.
So you can see it's a very subtle analysis that's happening here. Really, the Rosco system is looking for two things. It's looking for continue eye motion down, and also we'll be looking for motion up to the head. So if you actually have a phone set up to your head, it'll also detect that. And one of the key things that the algorithm has been working on, and Rosco is always working to improve it, is we're not just analyzing each individual event, and every time you look down, you'll notice that it took a few lookaways, and some of the samples we'll show you here in a few minutes. It's about looking at patterns of events and not simply every single incident, and providing valuable feedback to a driver, and not just an instant of every time it happens. If there's too many messages coming to drivers, they will start to tune it out, and that's why the algorithm is trying to balance the two. All right, let's jump ahead. One of the things. Back one slide. Thanks, Dwayne. As I mentioned, we've been involved in vehicle camera systems since 2017, and one of the things that we've learned is that really one of the first points of failure that can happen is a bad install. If you don't have your vehicle and your camera system lined up properly, especially those units like a DV6 that have AI features, if the camera is not installed and aligned correctly, you're going to run into problems right at the beginning. So Rosco has been working on a new solution that goes hand in hand with their DV6 unit, and they basically have built their installer app. And basically, when you get your DV6, there's a big QR code on the box, and it has Scan Me, just as you see on the screen here. And then it's going to take the installer directly to an app they can download for Android or iOS, and it's going to really take them step by step through the install process. So as you can see, as the installer would log in, it's going to prompt them for what kind of install are you going to do. It's actually going to tell them, do you want to look at a new install? Are you checking existing camera verification? And then it's also going to even tell you that it's reading the engine connections directly. But the next set of slides really shows the power of the installer app and why we're really excited about this. As you're going through the installation, the camera will actually, or the app will actually show you a live view of what you're seeing, both out through the front camera as well as the in-cab, and it'll actually direct the installer to correctly align the image. And as you can see, these are test images, but it's basically saying, hey, make sure you have that box directly around the operator where the operator would be sitting. Once you know that you have that done, you can feel really confident that you're seeing correctly out of the front of the vehicle and that you're correctly aligned to where the operator is. Otherwise, all those really cool AI features that we showed you in the previous slide, none of them will work. And then the part that I'm really excited about is the other two features that it actually will prompt the tester to do or the installers to make sure that the driver event button is working. And there's actually a button literally on the side of the camera that you can press that the operator can say, hey, I want to trigger an event. And then the last part is it does ask the installer to take some pictures of both the installation of where it went in the vehicle and what it looks like. When all of that is saved, not only does it make sure that the installer has everything done, but that it gets saved directly inside the software. And then when you're accessing that through My Geotab, you can actually see an installer report that's going to show you those pictures. So you feel really confident that the install was done correctly, the alignment was good, and then you actually have a record of where all that install was happening.
Yeah, fantastic. And just if I might add there, those connections that are being made between the app and the camera are all through Bluetooth. So it doesn't require, it's as simple as Brian's describing. It doesn't require a whole bunch of other steps to properly authenticate and connect through other systems. It's happening in the vehicle. So really, really, really seamless.
Absolutely. Next slide. So one of the last things, and then I'm gonna hand it back to Dwayne for a couple of minutes. One of the reasons why we've been working with Rosco, and we'll talk about this for a couple different things, but once you've actually finished the install, the way that Geotab and Rosco work together is pretty seamless. So once you've done the install part that we just took you through, once we know the hardware is installed, and we're assuming that you've already got your Geotab Go devices already installed in your vehicle, there's a pairing step that happens. And the great thing is this is all done through software. There's no connection, there's no physical connection between the camera and your Go device. It's all done directly through the software. But that pairing step really just says, hey, Go device, you're going to now be communicating with this camera unit, and vice versa. And some of that information will come through later, and Dwayne will show you what that looks like when we get into the into the demo of the software itself. One of the parts that we found most powerful for our clients who are already using Geotab and are very familiar with Geotab's very powerful rule-based system is you can then basically use all your existing Geotab rules and include a video event. So as a rule is triggered and an exception is happening inside the Geotab world, you can then say, hey, camera, go grab me some video from when that exception happened. And so essentially, as you're operating, your vehicles are operating throughout the day, the DV6 is constantly recording. And then essentially, when one of those Geotab rules are triggered, that video will then be selected from the camera and then be uploaded into the Geotab cloud for you to review remotely. So there's no need to go to the vehicle to get an SD card out. There's no need to go and physically touch the camera. You'll be able to actually review all that key footage directly through the software. And so I'd say, lights, camera, action. Let's let Dwayne show you what it looks like in the real world.
Fantastic. All right. So just to check, Brian, can you see my screen with the my Geotab interface? Wonderful. All right. So this the interface we're looking at here is my Geotab. This may look familiar to you, but it's important to note all of the use and everything I'll be demonstrating is all managed under your Geotab user credentials in your Geotab platform. So really seamless. And the implementation of this is all fully supported by NBI with our customer success managers, our support team, our order management group, the same team you're comfortable working with or may work with on the Geotab services. It's all seamless in terms of how we support you in implementing this. So what I'll do is I'll demonstrate for you how you access clips. And here on the left menu portal of Geotab, when you've deployed Rosco Live, there'll be an additional add-in and button for Rosco and camera events. This allows you to select particular vehicles, days, sort events by the vehicle, the time, the vehicle name, so on, filter for the reason clips were created, filter by groups, and we'll get into custom video requests. But first thing I'll do is give you an example of a few different types of clips. So you'll see this vehicle demo drive, 4:46 p.m. one afternoon. There was a yawning clip delivered. So let's take a look at our hired driver.
All of the children are coming together and
Distraction detected.
War is gone, violence is gone, all of the...
So you may have noticed the resemblance. I've had one of these cameras in my vehicle for a year, and it's actually been fantastic. The cameras worked flawlessly, and these clips, that was the audio delivered in the cab of my vehicle. It's very, very effective, the AI at picking up the incidents I'll share with you today, this one being yawning. We're seeing channel 1 at the front of my vehicle and channel 2 in cab. If I want to save a version of these clips, I can just download the MP4 directly here. And what's quite nice as well is the clip that's delivered also provides to you
Distraction detected.
breadcrumb of the location and the G-force of the vehicle, along with the speed that I'm traveling, 33 kilometers per hour. So it packages up what's happening really nicely for you to see in these clips. So that was an AI-driven yawning event. Next, I'll share with you what's the next one I want? A driver event. So as noted by Brian, there is a button on the front of the camera that gives the power to the driver to say, hey, that vehicle cut me off very closely. I want to capture that for note. And this is actually a feature that we've seen a big uptake with our customers who have deployed Rosco cameras, and it's often really leveraged in the implementation as to really solidify for drivers, this is a tool for your protection. Please use this button. And it helps filter out and put in the hands of the drivers, filtering out those incidents of interest. So this is flagged as a driver event. So this is me on my drive. See, I just hit the button and it captured, the 5 seconds of footage before and after me pressing that driver event button. Next, we'll look at a few other clips here. So this is a distraction event.
Kristen, is there stuff that you used to do as a kid that your parents hated?
Distraction detected.
Your kids do, or anything like that? Like you're trying to...
Yeah. So it captured me looking away. And what I do find interesting, and I can validate what Brian said, having used this in my vehicle firsthand, if you just look away, it's not going to flag that right away, but looking for that pattern. If you're looking away and then looking away again, the camera catches that. And this is the message that's relayed to the driver. And it's pretty effective quite effective at reminding you, oh, hey, I'm not paying attention to the road as well as I should be. And there's one more clip here that I'll share with you.
Distraction detected.
Now, I'm not going to incriminate myself by suggesting I maybe was looking at a cell phone, but you could see how this is really effective. And I can validate it's very effective if you try to catch that subtle looking down that may come from looking at something you shouldn't be while driving. So those are the AI-driven events. And I think Heather in the chat had asked, will clips be delivered? And this is exactly what you'll receive as a Geotab administrator or user with the appropriate credentials. But on this screen, I'll also highlight another major method of getting clips into this interface and hosted in the cloud for you is the rules that you've configured in Geotab. So the Geotab rules engine is very flexible. You can trigger geofence-based rules, speeding-based rules, acceleration, cornering, all sorts of combinations and a lot of flexibility there. Any one of those rules can trigger a clip to be delivered pulled off of the camera's SD card and stored in the cloud. And I should note, any clip that's in this interface is there for 12 months from capture for you. So I'll show you a few of those rules-based clips. And this is a speeding event, I believe. And you'll notice I looked away there, but it was not, it didn't meet the threshold. And this one was actually Rosco. This was triggered by speeding rule, the Geotab speeding rule. Next is harsh cornering.
Super hard to listen.
But there's just these little pink little
Magnets that they look like?
They're magnets.
A little bit harsh. And one of the best practices we've seen with some of our commercial clients is really driver scorecards, and using those as an effective tool have been really effective. Then layering those Geotab scorecards on with some of the camera footage to really say, okay, these speeding events have happened. We have the exceptions noted in Geotab. Let's take it a step further and have that footage to describe exactly what happened in the instance of that event. So that's some of the clips. Next thing we're going to move to is, one last method of getting clips, because I've highlighted a few rules from Geotab, AI-driven events. The third is custom video requests. So if you know there's an incident that has occurred at a certain date and time associated with a certain vehicle, you can go into this interface and request footage from 30 seconds up to 5 minutes. And when you hit request video, that will request the footage from the camera to be downloaded onto into this interface for you, or uploaded rather. And that will happen when the vehicle is really in an ignition on status, or the camera is powered up and active. That's another method of getting those clips off the camera and onto your desktop. The other method of getting footage here is live video. So this is the live map view of my Geotab, and you'll see this little live stream button. I'm not driving my vehicle at the moment, but were I driving my vehicle right now, I could click on my vehicle and it would show me I could turn on the live streaming. And live streaming still uses the included data package, but it does not store the data. It's just live streaming that footage for you from the vehicle, which is really, really interesting for certain use cases. Next thing we'll take a look at is under the camera administration. Again, these tools are delivered to you right in My Geo tab. You have this is where the pairing of the camera to the Go device happens. And this is where as well the camera configuration profile. And if we look at these fleet profiles, you can set up, different profiles for your camera. And I'll click on this to highlight a few things. You can, for example, set up the quality settings, and it gives you some nice input on just how much storage that will take in the camera and how many hours of footage you have, depending on the gigabyte of SD card you choose to equip your camera with. This is where, per Brian's earlier comment, channel 2, which is that in cab, you can turn off and disable completely. And that can be configured to be deployed to your cameras very, very easily. Channel 3 and 4 currently are just for DV4s, but that is coming as capability for DV6 to add auxiliary cameras, for example, rear view or side view, and the configuration of those happens here as well. There are some other settings around your speed overlay. And I would note as well, this is where you can configure your DMS or driver management system alerts. So turn on and off distraction, yawning, dozing, head down, phone use, or hand to head. And that's all configurable right here. Then the last area in this demonstration I want to highlight is again in the camera administration, and that relates to camera health. Having been doing this since 2017, as Brian described, and starting our hunt prior to 2017, what we've noted, even with a lot of the newer entrants in the marketplace in geotab and video technology, is the maturity isn't there yet to have gone through, enterprise implementations to see where challenges may happen. And camera health, so the install piece, what Brian covered on, is a big maturing and improvement and value add that's been developed by Rosco to help address ensuring the implementation goes really seamlessly to set you up for success. And then camera health is another critical area. The Rosco solution, they've invested really heavily in making sure these checks on the cameras are happening automatically, such that you can check the status of these cameras, confirm the health of the SD card, because SD cards do have a finite read-write cycle. They are a consumable media, so they won't last forever. And Rosco will alert you when a camera is an SD card is at a stage it should be replaced, and also the connectivity status of the camera. And not only can you do this individually to spot check cameras, but there is a camera health report that you can toggle, create that report, download, and it will give you all that data summarized. And this is really akin to your Geotab watchdog report. And one of the features we requested of Rosco is really a vetting. So, we've got a vehicle out on the road, it's got a Go device in it, and it's, with verified connectivity and verifying when that vehicle operated. And then the cameras give us a last connected date. We wanted to really make sure, can we deliver to clients a report that easily shows if there's a discrepancy? So the vehicle drove last Thursday, did the camera connect last Thursday or yesterday? And that's what this report does. It's been developed really on our request and our customers' requests to give the feedback of the Go device last trip. And this is being sourced from the Geotab API and the camera last connected date. And, in these instances, we see this as a clean check, along with those other checks that it's doing on the configuration, the SD cards and so on. So this is something that we have not seen in all of our searches and not searches, but our vetting of other solutions. And we're really, really happy that Rosco delivers, because we see it adding a lot of value for our commercial clients. So that sums up the demonstration for today. And next, I think we'll pass it back to Brian. I think, Brian, you may have another poll in store for us.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to flip back to the slide deck for us, do you want me to get a sec?
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. And yeah, so we're gonna throw up a quick poll. We're gonna give you about 30 seconds, and really now we're just looking for you to provide some feedback on whether you're using cameras in your fleet, and if you are, maybe what operations you have. So we're going to give you about 10 or 20 seconds to answer, and before we move on. So, and there are a few questions in the Q&A as we've been sort of going through. Dwayne and I have been answering them, and so we'll review those a little bit as we go, and when we get to the end, we'll take a look at it. So, all right, answers are starting to fly in. All right, we'll give everybody another few seconds, and then we'll publish those results, and everybody can take a quick look. All right, let's say whenever you're ready, Julie. We've got some.
All right, so I'll put those up on the screen.
Yeah, if you could.
Able to see that?
Yep. All right, Dwayne, if you want to read the results for me, that would be great.
Yeah, certainly. So so the first question, does your fleet currently use dash cams? We had 41% of you today saying yes, 33% saying no, 19% of the audience here today saying no, but we plan to implement over the next year, and 7% indicating unsure. I think that tells us you folks are ahead of the curve, where we saw earlier that only 10% of the vehicles in Canada have dash cams. So this is great to see. The second question was, if your fleet uses dash cams, how have they impacted your operations? So we had 33% of you saying it's reduced the number of incidents. 26% indicated it streamlined the insurance claim process. 26% have exonerated drivers. That's a helpful stat for anyone to use in their change management communication, certainly. 33% has improved the ability to coach drivers. 56% helped with incident investigation, and 19% used it to confirm a service or delivery was performed. That's fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. So just before we wrap up and jump back to any questions, a couple of other quick updates here. So, one of the reasons Dwayne talked a lot about, why Geotab, and a lot of you are already using Geotab today. And as Dwayne mentioned, we spent a lot of time vetting camera solutions over the last number of years. We've been looking at a number of different solutions, and really, the one thing that we try to do here at MBI is we want to make sure that before we really share any technology solution with any client, we really have comfort in who the partner is and what the technology is. And we've been partnered with Rosco for a bunch of years now, and we've been really pleased with kind of what we've seen, and just why we are really happy, and why some of the clients we've been working with have been happy with the solution. Clearly, the integration is the number one answer here. Clients really want to be able to see their total telematics solution, including their video footage, all in one spot. So Rosco was the first partner that we worked with that really allowed you to connect your really powerful Geotab rules and rule engines to video, and really putting that, as Dwayne said, the HD side of things directly into your rules. A couple of things, as I mentioned, with the DV6, again, a little bit different from the DV4. I know some of the folks on the call today may have familiar with the DV4. The new installer app does make the install very, very easy, very straightforward, very clear. And a couple of key things that we've noticed is really differentiators between Rosco and some of the other solutions that we've tested out. As Dwayne mentioned, any recording that is uploaded to the cloud is in the cloud for a year. We've tried this out with a couple of other solutions, and we haven't seen that. We've seen situations where it's maybe a very short time, 20 days, 30 days or less. So certainly when you're looking at a camera solution, being able to access your data is critical. So make sure you look into how long the data is there and how long you can access the data. And as Dwayne shared, you can easily download the clips directly from the cloud. And if you want to, you can always go directly to the camera itself, take the SD card out and copy all of the video if that's important to you as well. So a couple of different options. As Dwayne alluded to with respect to the camera health report, this sort of talked to two things. We've been able to build a really good relationship with Rosco the last few years, and so they've got a very strong support model. Our team has a very strong knowledge of the product, and when we need to reach out to the Rosco team, we were able to do that, and we're able to get really good responses, and to the point where we were actually able to contribute to building the camera health report that Dwayne mentioned earlier. And this is something that we haven't seen with other solutions. And for anybody who's managing a fleet, almost any size fleet knows the challenge of managing a large number of vehicles, a large number of equipment. The Geotab Watchdog report is probably very common to many of the folks on the call, and the camera health report is really unique. We have not seen this with other camera solutions. And when you're trying to manage a large number of vehicles with a large number of cameras, this is a really great approach to allow you to get to that at a relatively easy level. So for us, it's been a great partnership, and one of the reasons why we continue to invest our time in the product. All right, switching gears slightly before we jump into our questions. So it is that time of year. Yes, Christmas is fast approaching. I hope you all have your shopping done. But even more exciting is for the Canadian clients on the call today is the Canadian Electronic Logging Devices, or ELD, mandate is fast approaching. So the official, this has been something we've all been talking about here in Canada for several years now. The mandate does go into effect officially as of January 1. It's been law for a while, but we're now expecting that the enforcement of the ELD mandate and all of the rules and regulations around it are going to start in real effect in the early new year. Geotab is a certified solution both in US and in Canada, which is great. And we still have clients who are still in the deploying phase of ELD. Time is getting tight, but we are still here and we can still help if you are thinking about moving into ELD. If you need more information, there's going to be some links in the presentation that we'll share out. But if you are interested in deploying ELD for your existing fleet, let us know. Or if you're already a Geotab user, the great thing is it's all that feature is already built in. We can show you how to configure and deploy that with your drivers as well. So time is running short. So a quick shout out for all the ELD users on the call. All right, Dwayne, back to you for a quick moment.
All right, thanks very much, Brian. Yeah, so we're appreciative that you folks have spent this time with us today. We're going to, I think, run through the Q&A next. Would you say, Brian, before we wrap up? So
absolutely.
Yes. So we've had a few questions come through, and yes, first question that had come up was around AI alerts, whether, when the driver hears that driver distraction in the cab, whether the owner or administrator in Geotab will be alerted, and that is the case. Those clips, as I demonstrated in my Geotab, are delivered, in near real time over the cellular network and available to the administrator. We had a question regarding whether the cameras do use a SIM card, and if such, if you can choose the carrier. And yes, indeed, there is a SIM card and the data plan all included in the service, the monthly service that we offer. And we do have options for Canadian and US carriers to be able to provide you the best solution. There was a question about side cameras, and today we were not demonstrating side cameras because indeed Side view, rear view, and multiple options are available from Rosco, but currently for the DV4. So the DV4 we didn't focus on today. If folks have additional questions, we're happy to review. DV4 is a strong camera in its own right. DV6 will support multiple cameras imminently, I will say, in the new year. There's new functionality coming to be able to expand additional cameras like side view or rear view cameras, and many options for different views available. There was a question, is there a maximum number of video requests available to each truck? And there is not a maximum. Roughly speaking, depending on the quality settings and such, it's where you start to get into the cellular data usage is one of those variables. Each of the cameras with our plans does come with a gigabyte of data pooled amongst the vehicles, which equates to a lot of clips because the clips are, say, 5 megabytes each to transmit over the cloud, but no maximum there. We note there was a few issues with poll 2 that we'll take that feedback to make sure we clean up for our next one. We had another question, how much data video can be stored on the SD card? That's a really good question because, as is often the answer, it depends. And one of the tools I really like, and I'll actually just flip back to the MyGeotab interface to help answer this one, if I can figure out where my window went, which I may not be able to do. Right in that camera configuration tool, it really comes down to which cameras do you have enabled, at what quality setting, and that alters how much footage can be stored on the SD card that's provided with the vehicle. And just as you make those changes, it gives you the indication of how many hours of footage will be provided and stored on the camera before it starts overwriting the older footage. So that tool's right there in the product for you. Does Rosco have a timeline for the auxiliary cameras on the DV6 was another question. And yes, Brian, these have already been answered, but yes, early 2023, January, February is the timeline we're looking at.
So Dwayne, there were also a couple other questions in the chat. And I know one of the questions asked about sort of overall cost of camera and subscription. I don't know if you wanted to answer that at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I can take that one. So I'll highlight sort of the levers incorporated. So there is a hardware component for these cameras. There is an install component, which you can install these vehicles yourself, your own staff, very similar to Geotab will provide support for you, whichever path you look to go, or if you want to use your own mechanic or help us find a subcontractor. And then of course there is a monthly service fee. And I will say we would be happy to follow up with specific pricing for anyone. Just to make sure, we do have some folks with our through our Bell partnership on the phone, which the way that data plans is actually transparently one of those levers that's a little bit different. If you're purchasing this through Bell, there's sort of different data plans that might differ what those monthly service fees look like to match your data usage. And then on some of our other options, it's really a pooled one set data plan. So we'd be happy to follow up with pricing for anyone on the phone, and all of our sales team and our BDRs are all trained and equipped with all of the tools to help price this for you specifically.
Well, we also had a question about whether we have any municipal clients in Canada using this solution.
Yes, yeah, we do, and it's actually an area we see increased interest, and you know, because for a lot of our municipal clients, one of the key value points and uses of Geotab is really a lot that have been highlighted today. It's eliminating the he said, she said, it's confirming service delivery, and you know, it's defending the municipality or the entity and their operators. And this tool, I think, offers considerable value. One of the challenges we often hear is around unionized workforces and the use of video. I think it's safe to say that the majority of municipalities or even commercial clients in Canada have been going with the route of implementing with outward facing initially, with the future-proof technology of being able to turn on the in-camera footage. Interestingly, from our friends south of the border, we hear the majority of the implementations are in-cab facing as well, right out of the gates. But definitely we're there to support both of those options. And we think they offer some tools to help with those workforce change management challenges.
There was another question in the chat, and then another one just came in a moment ago. Somebody asked about the white screen and blue screen detection issues that you see with the older Rosco cameras. So I can maybe answer that one, Dwayne. So on the existing camera health report that Dwayne showed, and this is true for both the DV6 and the DV4, if there is an issue detected with the camera itself, and it may be flagged on the camera health port as either a white screen, black screen, blue screen, or sometimes even a rainbow screen. And that can mean one of a few things. It could mean that the camera is failing, and there could be something that you need to go and look at. We've also seen situations where if the camera is being covered, it'll detect often at a black screen. And we've seen situations where drivers maybe have put tape over a camera lens, or it gets obscured by accident. And we've seen a few situations where we've seen cameras maybe where the alignment has been changed, and maybe it's now tilting up a little bit too high and it's pointing to the sky, so you're getting just a lot of bright light into the camera. So it can be a little bit difficult for those as well. All right, and then thank you, Zach, for posting some information about the SD card on the DV6. So Zach threw in some information. Zach's a member of our client solutions team here at MBI. So thank you for that, Zach. There's a question about side cameras showing a 360 view. For example, if they're on a waste truck, could the side cameras capture toters near houses? So Rosco does have a variety of side cameras that have different angles of view, and they do have a 360 camera. We haven't actually deployed that one ourselves, but with the ones that we have deployed that do have a fairly wide angle of view, we have clients who have been using those side cameras to actually take a look at an operator who's either going to a house or to a business. And you can get a pretty good view there. So I'd say if you want to reach out, we can sort of look through what your specific question is and what your needs are, and we may be able to find something that works for you.
Excellent. All right, and I think we had one more question here around how long do we think the DV6 will last before another upgrade? So I would say if we look at the DV4, for example, which was the first camera we started to introduce to our customers starting back in 2017, we've been 5 years, and really the DV4 is still available for sale. It's still fully supported. So we're going on over 5 years that camera is still a current solution, although now the DV6 is really built upon that, and I will say has really improved the user experience with the DV6. So based on that, I would suggest, if history repeats itself 5 years from now, perhaps we're looking at a DV7. That's a question we may want to get some additional input from Rosco on, but we know that they put like Rosco, like us, I tested that DV6 in my camera or my vehicle for a year, and we've spent a good amount of time making sure we really understand this camera before bringing it to our clients. And we know Rosco's development cycle took a lot of time to really make sure this camera is ready, and production ready. So that's my best answer. Can't quite say, but we might get some additional input from Rosco there for you. And I think you're typing an answer to this one as we speak here, Brian. So maybe do you want to address that question on lights flashing inside the cab?
Yeah, absolutely. going to be kind of hard to see, but on the side of the camera there is a little spot where there's actually 3 small LEDs. Or sorry, it's really hard to see. And those lights, so they aren't necessarily flashing, but they will be on to show that the camera does have good power and good connection. And there will be a light that will come on and indicate if there's a problem, and that the colors of those lights can actually help you and help us as we do troubleshooting with the unit. So it's not, the camera's not flashing red recording like you're on the Supper News, but it will provide indication that there is power and good connectivity with the unit.
Excellent.
Did I miss anything else? I think that's all the questions, Dwayne.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, and we're just coming up to the top of the hour.
Wonderful. Well, we'll just take a minute to wrap up. And I do want to thank, we've had a lot of folks join us today and stay on for the session. Really appreciate everyone spending their time. Just to leave you with a few points on, why we'd love to help you with your dash camera implementation. I think what we have hopefully highlighted today is we put a lot of rigor and effort into not just selecting great technology partners in Geotab and Rosco, but also really making sure that ourselves and our team are really familiarized and know the technology really deeply, so they can accelerate your implementation timeline, help you get the most value out of the technology as quickly as possible. And this solution is fully supported by the NBI team directly. So should you choose to move forward with Rosco as an addition to your Geotab solution or alongside your Geotab solution, you'd be working with a customer success manager who's experienced in implementing the technology to help guide you, a support and training team who is also experienced in helping you leverage the tool, and with all of the operational processes to help you deploy effectively. So with that, I'd encourage you to connect with our team. If there's anything that interested you here today, we'd be happy to provide more in-depth information, demonstration, or assistance. And of course, if anyone is sort of holding on to the last minute in their ELD deployment, we lead times from Geotab are pretty good right now. So I would say act quick, and we're here to help. And of course, we will be following up with the Q&A from today with the recording of the webinar. And for the 10 lucky winners, you'll receive a follow-up with a Yeti tumbler for some nice warm beverages through this winter. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, for joining today.
Thanks very much.